Hey all, sorry about the background noise. I've got the oven on at the minute. I decided to try something completely different today because I was originally going to live stream this, but you can't live stream from mobile when you don't have over 1,000 subscribers. Pretty much, we're just going to be making cookies because I enjoy making it. I enjoy making how they taste from the recipe that I've got up here, and I'll be showing you what you need for it as well. Um, I'll be saying what the recipe's using, and then I'll be saying what I'm going to use because I'm not going to be trying to make as much as I normally do. I'm going to be making half because no one else in my family eats the cookies because I suppose they're just trying to stay healthier. So I'm going to be halving the proportions. But what you need is 100. This is the regular proportions. 150 grams of unsalted butter. Salted, sorry, but unsalted does work. 80 grams of light muscovado sugar and granulated sugar. Let me fetch that real quick. There we go. 80 grams of granulated sugar. You can use regular sugar as well, like the kind of sugar that you put in tea, the kind of sugar that you just randomly pick up. 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract. I'll also link the recipe in the description. You need 1 large egg, and this is the brand that we're using. You also need 225 grams of plain flour. You need half a tablespoon of bicarbonate of soda. Then a 1/4 tablespoon of salt, and table salt works just fine. And then you need 200 grams of chocolate chip cookies. It says plain, but I have made them with plain and white before, and that was quite nice. But just for now, we're going to be starting with plain. So because we're halving everything, this will... Actually, I'll get a knife because that'll make it easier. I'm just going to put 80... Is it 80? It's 75. I'm going to put 75 grams of this salted butter into the bowl that we've got here. Oh, I forgot to turn on the scales. Right. Put that back in. That was 45. I'm sorry that this is all unprofessional. This is the first time that I've done something like this. Right, so that's 66, so a little bit more. 73. That was 74, so I'm just going to put a tiny bit more in. A tiny bit more. There we go, 75 grams. I'm going to be putting everything back in the fridge when I'm done with it, so I'm just going to quickly be making trips between the counter and the fridge. It just says softened. You need to soften this, and what I normally do to soften it is I have a microwave here, as you just heard. I'm just going to put that in there and stick it on for 5-second intervals. So you leave it for 5 seconds, stop it, wait for a little bit, leave it going. I've set the timer for 20 seconds and I'm stopping it every 5 minutes. I'd say start cooking it at the 10-second mark. I'd say that's alright, especially because we haven't got quite as much. Right, so next I'm going to be getting 40 grams of this light muscovado sugar. I think actually I'll get a bit of kitchen roll as well, just so that I can place the spoons down without getting the kitchen counter all messy. Yeah, we do have a teaspoon, good. I don't have much of this left actually, so this might be the perfect amount, or just about perfect anyway. But when it starts getting very close to the mark that you want it to be at, I've gone very slightly over to 41 grams, but that's fine. You can go like a gram or so out. So I just lost track of it, but what you want to do when this starts getting close to the mark that you're looking at, which will probably be 80 grams, assuming that you're following the recipe to a T, what you want to do is start kind of scooping it out with a spoon and just take very, very slow, small spoons until it reaches that mark. Right, we also need the granulated sugar now, and we just start pouring that in. Just want to get it to the exact right weight or the amount. With this, you can kind of shake it a little until you get the perfect amount, and that is perfectly 40 grams. And right, so this is kind of the boring part. I need to mix it with a spoon. Yeah, I need to mix it with. Ah, there it is. There we go, fresh out the washing machine. But, the dishwasher, sorry. So, you just want to beat it until it's creamy. This is kind of the boring part of it. So, and it's quite noisy as well. So, I think I'll pause this here and kind of start it again when I'm done with beating. When you're done mixing it and it's creamy, it should kind of look something like this. And it kind of has that texture to it. Like creamy texture. And after that we move on to step 3, because step 1 was to preheat the oven, but you can kind of do that at any point because this isn't going to like go bad in the time that it takes it to heat up. Oh right, I should definitely mention this. Baking tray, you definitely need like baking paper as well. I did run out when I was making it the first time, and just like having a baking tray like this and covering that with butter, that did work for me, but I think it turns out better if you actually have baking paper. Alright, so the next step is to beat in 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract and 1 large egg. I did not think in advance about that large egg, to be honest. I'm not quite sure what I should do with that, actually. I'm sure we'll figure it out. Right, so we want 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So because we're having the recipe, we want 1. And now I shall attempt to figure out exactly what I should do with the egg. So I will be back very soon. It's definitely more than a little scuffed, but what I essentially did is got 2 more bowls, 2 more of these small bowls, cut the yolk in half, scooped it into one of the bowls, and from there I pretty much just weighed them out to make sure they were equal, so I've got about half an egg here, and that's essentially just going to go in there and be mixed in. Again, it's like it's extremely scuffed, and if you have a better way of doing it, definitely do that. Now again, this is going to be the mixing part, so I'm going to pause it and I'll be back with you once it doesn't say to beat it to a specific point, like how the last step said to beat it until it was creamy, so I will just play it again once everything is properly mixed in. When you're done with mixing that in, it should look something like this. It has a bit of a mushy texture, but that's fine, because that's going to be fixed with what we are about to add. Actually, I don't need to dry those off just yet. We're going to add flour first, and the recipe says to add 225 plain flour, so because we're halving it, that'd be around 112, somewhere between 112 and 113. And with flour, it's definitely good to get near that point and then start scooping it out, because otherwise you can go quite a bit over, like I carelessly did just then. So I do need to wipe the spoon that had the egg off. Just give it a very quick wash. I should probably mention that eggs where we live are the chickens that they come from are vaccinated against salmonella. So it's actually okay to eat the raw eggs, and it's also okay to eat the raw cookie dough, which is certainly an upside for me because that means I get to have the bowl or anything left in the bowl. Because cookie dough is awesome. So I wanted about 112 grams. This is just what you want to do, as long as you're not scooping any of the actual mixture that we already had into the bag, then this is exactly what you want to do if you go over. You just want to carefully scoop it out, and we've got somewhere between 113 and 112 grams there now. So give me a minute while I just put everything back, because it's important for everything to go back in its right place. Right, so the eggs go in the fridge, and so does the vanilla extract. We store the vanilla extract in the fridge as well. Right, what we want now is, the recipe calls for half a tablespoon of bicarbonate of soda, so that will be a quarter tablespoon for us. There we go. Okay, the recipe did say sift, but I think it's, as long as you mix it thoroughly, it's alright. As long as you mix it thoroughly to where all of the bits, all of the chunks are gone, then it's alright. Next, the recipe calls for a quarter tablespoon of salt. So we're going to want to fill this up to... depth-wise, we want to fill it up a little bit past half, because that's how spoons work. Because they're curved, it needs to be a little bit over half. That seems about right. Now that that's done, we can start mixing it again. It says to do it with a wooden spoon, but in my experience, a plastic spoon has worked out just fine. And actually, I'll let you watch me for a while, just so you can see how I do it, kind of. But also because when the flour gets put into things, it starts to become a little bit less loud. And when it's mixed in, it will be that loud again. But just for now, I'll let you see me mixing it. It's already starting to smell like cookies, like baking cookies, I'll tell you that much. Actually, I believe that may be the last step, other than adding the chocolate chips. Yes, it is. Fantastic. So this will be the last step, other than adding the chocolate chips. The recipe calls for 200 of them, but because we're having the proportions, we're going to have 100 of them. 100 grams, rather, not actually 100 chocolate chips. I think there are more, actually. I think there are more than 100 chocolate chips in 100 grams. But that's just the brand that we got. We have Sainsbury's brand of chocolate chips, but you can do it with any brand, really. Yeah, when you're done, it should have a texture a lot like this. And that is your end point. I think we have not mixed in one of the parts of butter, but that's fine. We can just mix it in now. And that won't cause any major problems. And now that that's done, and now that my hand is red, let's go ahead and add in these chocolate chips. Here comes the fun part. We just get to tip them all in. And what I like to do is, in case there's an excess, I like to actually measure how much is going in, so that when there is an excess, and you've got some cookie dough left in the bowl, you can have it yourself. Like, you can start tipping in the chocolate chips. There are only a couple, but I do actually have some leftover chocolate chips here as well. So these are going in the bowl afterwards, so I can enjoy it. You just want to mix these in to where if they're fairly evenly distributed around the bowl. You want to kind of make sure that there aren't any large clusters of them anywhere, so that each cookie has a good amount of chocolate chips. And that's about done there. We can clear everything else off of the counter now. We can put this bowl away. This salt goes back in the cupboard. There we go. Bicarbonate soda back in the lower cupboard. And that's about everything packed away. I'm just going to give the kitchen side a very quick wipe off with a paper towel. And this should also get wiped off because there's a bunch of flour on here. And we're going to be using this spoon in combination with this spoon, I think, to get these onto the baking tray, which I will put on the kitchen counter right now. So here's the baking tray. And that's actually a very good angle, I think. I think that's a pretty good angle to show what I'm doing. What you want to do is scoop up a fairly large amount and scrape it off onto the baking tray. Make sure they're fairly evenly spaced. If they kind of grow and expand into each other, that's okay, because they are quite easy to kind of snap away from each other. Right, I'm just going to scrape what's gone on that mixing spoon into the bowl so that it's a bit easier in the future. Actually, we can use that, I think. Yeah, we can kind of use that. And just because this is quite repetitive and monotonous, I'm going to pause it here and I'm going to replay it once we've gotten everything prepared. Right, I'm just going to lift this up slightly to show you exactly how this has been kind of done. If you can see that well, I hope you can, because I can't really see how that's turning out on camera. But so what we do now is, I normally have like a cloth like this to do it with. You probably want a steady hand for this, and what you want to do is just open up the oven that you've preheated to 170 degrees. Take the top of this, or although your baking tray might be a bit different, keep it very, very steady, so make sure that they don't end up falling off. And just start sliding it in. If you can still hear me. There we are. I think I can show you how that's done. You just want to put it in like that. If you can see that, right? Just want to make sure that I've got a good shot of that. And they're already starting to melt, so I'll quickly shut the oven and cook it for, I tend to do it for 8 minutes. And then check them and then go in 1 minute increments. First, while I'm here, I should probably show you what I've done with the excess. I thought I may as well treat myself a little after making them, because raw cookie dough is amazing, let's be fair. Just something I thought I'd mention before they're done. When you're taking the baking tray out of the oven and you're looking for somewhere to put it, you definitely want to have one of these tablecloths around so that you can place it on your kitchen counter or wherever, if that will pick it up. Perfect. You just want to place it on the kitchen counter, and then you can pick the tray up and put it down there without risking burning anything or anything like that. Anything on the counter, of course. I mean, you're always going to be risking burning your hands when you're baking, but let's just hope that doesn't happen, because as long as we've got this, we should be fine. Right, so the camera can just very slightly pick up the cookies. I would say that that's gone fairly well. I think, as far as I can see, only one of them has grown into another one, and that's very easily breakable. I will take a better video of them, and when they're all like properly cooled, done, things like that. The cookies are now done. They've been baked, they've cooled off a tiny bit, and that baking paper that we've got, I'm not sure what brand it is. I might have already put it away, but it's fantastic. Like, it's made in such a way that you don't even have to peel them off, they just kind of lift. And that was pleasant. Let me just do this a little and you can see how the cookies have all turned out. I would say that they are a pretty big success in my eyes. And one of them's a little bit small, but I don't think that makes it any less delicious. Goes better every time. Yeah, I would call that a major success. The way the recipe says to do it is to cook them until they're kind of brown around the edges and softer in the middle, and that's exactly how I've done it. And well, they're pretty delicious, so I definitely recommend this recipe to anyone that feels in a baking mood. I'm not entirely sure how to end off the video, because do you guys want to see more? Like, if you want to see more baking, then you can kind of recommend recipes to me, and I can go out and buy all the stuff on Sunday. Actually, it's Thursday today, yeah. We'll go out and buy the stuff on Wednesday, and come back on Thursday and cook again. I think Thursday will be our kind of designated cooking day. But yeah, I had a lot of fun filming this, at least. I'm hoping you had fun watching it, and I will see you all. I'll actually see some of you tonight, hopefully, because I'm going to be streaming Terraria Thorium tonight. But if I don't see you then I'll see you in hopefully the next video.